Dr. Ethan Harper had documented 17 different Sylphara cultural practices over 6 months on Viridian colony, none of which had prepared him for watching an entire village exile a girl to die. She couldn't have been more than 19 in human years, her long, graceful ears pinned flat against her skull in distress, her bioluminescent markings smeared with ash that marked her as shadowed, cursed, condemned, cast out. The village elders chanted in the old language while she was driven beyond the perimeter with nothing but the thin clothing she wore. What did she do? Ethan demanded, his translator struggling with his anger. She carries shadow, Elder Vexus replied calmly. 3 deaths in her family within 1 year. The spirits mark such individuals. They must be exiled or their curse spreads to the community. But she's not cursed. She's a girl who lost her family to accidents. You are human. You do not understand the shadow spirits. Vexus's ears angled in dismissal. The shadowed must face exile alone. Any who help them share their fate. This is our way. Ethan watched Kira stumble into the wilderness, forbidden from receiving food, shelter, or assistance. His research protocols screamed at him. Observe, don't interfere, respect cultural practices no matter how wrong they feel. But when night fell and temperatures dropped to dangerous levels, when he saw her huddled alone beyond the village, Ethan's conscience spoke louder than his protocols. He packed supplies and made his choice. Kira was awake when he found her, shivering violently, her bioluminescence barely visible through the ash markings. She saw him approaching and her markings flashed crimson, terror and desperate hope combined. "Do you know what you're doing?" she whispered in heavily accented galactic standard. "Helping the shadowed means sharing the curse. You'll be marked too." "I don't believe in curses," Ethan said, kneeling beside her with thermal blankets. "I believe in hypothermia and starvation. Both are killing you right now. Everything else is just superstition." "My people believe." "Your people are wrong." Ethan wrapped the blanket around her shoulders. "Come with me. You need food, warmth, medical attention. We'll figure out the rest later." Kira stared at him for 3 long heartbeats. Then she made a choice that would change everything. She accepted his hand and let a human stranger save her from her own people's judgment. Ethan's research shelter became a refuge. He treated Kira for exposure and malnutrition while she explained the inexplicable. 3 deaths in one family within a year, she said quietly, her bioluminescence dim gray. Statistically unlucky, culturally damning. The elders read my markings and declared them corrupted by shadow spirits. Now I'm shadowed. "That's not how probability works," Ethan protested. "It's how belief works." Kira's voice carried exhaustion beyond her years. "When everyone tells you you're cursed, when everyone you've ever known declares you contaminated, you start believing it yourself. You're not cursed. You're a survivor of tragedy being blamed for random chance." "Tell that to my people." "I will," Ethan promised, "starting tomorrow." But belief, he would learn, doesn't respond to evidence. Word spread through Viridian colony by dawn. The human researcher was harboring the shadowed. The consequences were immediate and absolute. Elder Vexus arrived at Ethan's shelter with 6 villagers, their bioluminescent markings flashing angry red. "You were warned, Dr. Harper. Release the cursed one or leave our colony." "She's not cursed, she's traumatized. There's a difference. You do not understand our ways. The shadow spirits mark certain individuals through patterns of misfortune. Kira brought death to her family. She will bring death to you. Her parents died in a rockslide. Her brother drowned. Her grandmother had an illness. Tragic coincidences, not curses. 3 deaths, one family, 1 year. The pattern is clear." Vexus's ears swept back aggressively. "Your research permits are revoked. You have 3 days to leave Viridian colony. The shadowed goes with you or returns to exile." After they left, Kira emerged from the back room where she'd been hiding. "I should go. I'm destroying your work." "You're not destroying anything. Superstition is." Ethan pulled up data files. "I'm going to document this. Show that the shadowed aren't cursed, just scapegoated. Evidence won't change belief." Kira's bioluminescence pulsed sad blue. I've lived with this my entire life. When bad things happen, people need someone to blame. The shadowed are convenient. Over the following weeks, Ethan fought bureaucratic battles while Kira slowly healed. His colleagues sent concerned messages. His career was being destroyed. His supervisor demanded he abandon Kira and salvage his reputation. Other Sylphara communities refused contact, declaring him tainted. But Ethan also witnessed transformation. Kira, who'd flinched at kindness and apologized for existing, began teaching herself to smile again. Her bioluminescence shifted from perpetual gray to cautious amber when she felt safe. She had sharp intelligence and dry humor that emerged as fear receded. "You're destroying your career for someone you barely know," she observed one evening, reviewing the mounting complaints against him. "I know you well enough. You're intelligent, kind despite everything, and absolutely not cursed." Ethan closed the complaint file. Some things matter more than careers. Like superstition fighting. Like not letting someone die because their culture is statistically illiterate. Kira laughed, a sound that made her bioluminescence pulse warm gold. Statistically illiterate, I'm using that. The situation escalated when neighboring Sylphara colonies joined the condemnation. A harvest failed in a nearby village, normal crop disease, but blamed on Kira's spreading curse. Livestock fell ill, viral infection but attributed to shadow spirits. Every normal misfortune became evidence of her corruption. Elder Vexus returned with a delegation. "See the calamity your defiance brings. The curse spreads. A child now suffers fever in our village. Return the shadowed to exile or face collective punishment. The child has a viral infection. I can prove it with medical scans. Your human science cannot measure spiritual corruption." Vexus's voice hardened. "You have one day. Surrender her or all human research presence ends on Viridian Colony." After they left, Kira packed her few belongings. "I'm leaving tonight. You've done enough. You're not going anywhere." "Ethan, they're right about one thing. I am destroying your life. Everything you've worked for is burning because you won't abandon me." "Then it burns." Ethan blocked the door. "I'm not surrendering you to death because people prefer blame over understanding. End of discussion. You're impossibly stubborn. So I've been told, usually right before I do something reckless." He smiled. "Get comfortable. We're seeing this through." Kira's bioluminescence shifted through complex patterns. Gratitude, fear, affection, determination all layered together. "Why? Why fight this hard for me?" "Because you deserve someone who will. Because superstition shouldn't sentence people to death. Because you're not cursed, and I'm not letting them convince you otherwise." She hugged him then, brief, fierce, her bioluminescence blazing grateful amber. Outside, the village prepared for confrontation, and Kira began preparing something else: defiance. The crisis reached its breaking point when the sick child's condition worsened. Elder Vexus led a crowd to Ethan's shelter, their anger no longer masked by ceremonial calm. "The child's fever intensifies. The curse spreads because you harbor the shadowed." Vexus's bioluminescence blazed accusatory red. "Surrender her now, or we remove her by force." Ethan stood in the doorway blocking entry. "That child has a treatable viral infection. I can help if you'll let me. We want no human contamination. Only the shadow's removal will appease the shadow spirits." The crowd pressed forward. Ethan activated his emergency beacon, signaling for galactic authorities. But help was hours away, and the mob's patience was measured in minutes. Then Kira stepped past him out into the open. "Stop," she said quietly, but her voice carried. Her bioluminescence blazed defiant gold, a color Ethan had never seen her display. "I'm done hiding. Return to exile, cursed one." Vexus commanded. "Leave before your shadow kills the child." "No." Kira walked toward the village center, forbidden territory for the shadowed. The crowd parted instinctively, fear overriding anger. "I'm done accepting your judgment. Done believing I'm cursed because misfortune exists." The pattern is clear: 3 deaths. 3 tragedies that broke my heart but didn't curse my soul. Kira's ears swept forward aggressively. My parents died in a rockslide caused by geological instability. My brother drowned because he couldn't swim and ignored warnings. My grandmother succumbed to an illness your healers couldn't treat. Tragic. Yes. My fault. No. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some bioluminescent patterns shifted from red anger to uncertain amber. This human, Kira gestured to Ethan, saved me not because he didn't know the consequences, but because he chose compassion over fear. He suffered for it, lost his work, his reputation, his standing. And he did it anyway because he believes people deserve kindness regardless of superstition. The shadow spirits mark you, an elder protested. Your presence brings misfortune. Then explain how your misfortune started before I was even exiled. The crop disease. It began 2 weeks before you cast me out. I have the agricultural reports. The livestock illness. Viral, spreading from imported animals. The child's fever. A common infection treatable with medicine instead of blame. Kira reached up and wiped the ash from her bioluminescent markings, removing the symbols of the shadowed. I refuse to be defined by your fear. I refuse to die because you need someone to blame when random chance brings tragedy. I am not cursed. I am not shadow-touched. I am Kira, and I choose my own destiny. The village erupted in chaos. Some elders demanded immediate punishment. But younger Sylphara stepped forward, those who'd questioned the old ways, who'd lost friends to exile, who'd wondered if the shadowed were cursed or simply convenient scapegoats. The pattern doesn't hold, a young healer named Cirrus spoke up. I've reviewed the records. Misfortunes occur constantly, but we only notice them when the shadowed are present because we're looking for confirmation. Heresy, Vexus snarled. Truth, Cirrus countered. The child has viral fever. I can treat it. Watch if Kira's presence is removed and the child still recovers. Will you admit the curse is fiction? Ethan saw the opening. Medical scan. Let me examine the child. We'll know within hours if it's viral or something else. The elders resisted, but parents desperate to save their child overruled them. Ethan performed the scan while Kira waited, her defiant gold bioluminescence never wavering. The results were conclusive. Common viral infection, highly treatable, completely unrelated to curses or shadow spirits. Treatment will take 3 days, Ethan announced. If the fever breaks, will you reconsider your beliefs about the shadowed? The elders had no answer. 3 days felt like 3 years. The child, a girl named Lyra, received treatment while the village held its breath. Kira remained in the village center, refusing to hide, her bioluminescence a constant defiant gold that challenged anyone who passed. Ethan stayed close, documenting everything, ready to defend her if the mob's fear overrode reason. But something unexpected was happening. Doubt was spreading faster than the supposed curse. Younger Sylphara approached Kira cautiously, asking questions about her exile, her survival, the human who'd helped her. Some admitted they'd questioned the shadowed traditions but feared speaking against the elders. Others shared stories of friends lost to exile, wondering now if they'd been murdered by superstition rather than saved from curses. On the 3rd day, Lyra's fever broke. The child sat up, asking for food, her bioluminescence healthy green. Her parents wept with relief while Elder Vexus stood silent, his certainty crumbling. The curse didn't cause the illness, Cirrus announced to the assembled village. Medicine cured what fear only worsened. The shadow didn't harm this child. Our refusal to treat her nearly did. One case proves nothing, Vexus protested weakly. Then examine the records, Kira challenged. Every shadowed exile for the past century. You'll find the same pattern, misfortunes blamed on individuals when evidence points elsewhere. How many innocent people have you condemned? The question hung in the air like smoke. Some elders refused to engage, retreating into traditional certainty. But others, faced with evidence and a living child who'd recovered despite the shadow's presence, began to fracture. Galactic authorities finally arrived, their ruling swift. Cultural practices cannot include forced exile without consent. Legal protections were established for those declared shadowed, offering refuge and appeal rights. Not everyone accepted it. Some Sylphara communities doubled down, insisting curses were real regardless of evidence. The divide between traditional and progressive factions deepened, but Kira had changed the equation. She wasn't dead. She wasn't hiding. She stood in the village center, unmarked by ash, her bioluminescence blazing with life, and she refused to be erased. "What will you do now?" Ethan asked as they prepared to leave Viridian Colony. "Help others like me," Kira said simply. "Every Sylphara declared shadow deserves someone who will fight for them like you fought for me. That's going to make a lot of elders very angry." "Good. They should be uncomfortable. Comfort breeds complacency breeds cruelty." Her bioluminescence pulsed determined amber. "You showed me that one person's courage can challenge an entire culture's judgment. Time to pay that forward." Months later, Ethan's research had evolved into something unprecedented, documenting cultural change in real time. Kira worked as his cultural liaison, helping shadowed refugees find support, teaching them to question the curses they'd been taught to believe. They visited a newly exiled Sylphara, a young man marked by ash, terrified and alone. Kira sat with him, her bioluminescence warm and steady. "They told you you're cursed," she said gently. "They told me that too. They were wrong. But the misfortunes are tragedies, not judgments. You didn't cause them, you survived them. There's a difference." She took his hand. "You have a choice now, accept their curse or choose your own future. I chose." This human, she gestured to Ethan, believed in that choice when no one else would. "Now we're offering you the same." The young man's bioluminescence shifted from gray despair to cautious amber hope. Ethan watched Kira work, no longer the terrified girl he'd rescued, but someone who'd transformed pain into purpose. Her bioluminescence glowed vibrant amber gold, colors of defiance, courage, survival. "You've changed everything," he said quietly. "We changed everything," Kira corrected. "You chose compassion over protocol. I chose defiance over despair. Together we proved belief can be challenged, curses can be broken, and destiny isn't written by fear." She smiled, and her bioluminescence pulsed with warmth. "Besides, someone had to show the galaxy that humans are good for more than statistics and stubbornness. I prefer compassion and stubbornness." "That too." They returned to work, helping others cast out by superstition, documenting the slow transformation of a culture confronting its own cruelty. Not every story ended happily. Some refused help, too broken by their culture's judgment. Some communities remained hostile, doubling down on tradition. But others, like Kira, like the young man now choosing hope, proved that curses were just fear given form, and fear could be overcome. The final report Ethan filed wasn't about cultural preservation, but cultural evolution. How one girl's refusal to accept her fate challenged an entire belief system. How one human's compassion sparked change across communities. How courage and evidence could overturn centuries of superstition. Kira read it over his shoulder, her bioluminescence glowing proud gold. "Think it'll change minds. Some, not all, but enough." Ethan smiled. "You declared yourself uncursed and lived. That's revolutionary. I had help. A stubborn human who believed in me when no one else would." "Always," Ethan said. "That's what we do. We choose compassion over fear, evidence over superstition, and people over comfortable lies." Kira's hand found his. "Then let's keep choosing. There are more shadowed out there who need someone to believe in them." Outside, the galaxy still debated curses and culture. Inside, two people who defied judgment together prepared to help others do the same. And Kira's bioluminescence blazed with colors that meant hope, defiance, and the absolute refusal to let fear write her story.